People in Revolution Land, I cannot believe it. I am amongst legends. Legends everywhere, starting with, of course, Jean-Christophe Babin, who incidentally is probably the reason why I'm actually in Geneva, because he initiated this incredible fair here, Geneva Watch Days. The legendary Max Büsser, and also both dear friends, but Max Büsser, and incidentally, I think we've all seen the massive rise in independent watchmaking in the last couple of years, but actually Max is the father of all that, back in his capacity as CEO of Harry Winston, when he created the Opus Project, and my dear friend Antoine as well, the watch boss of BVLGARI. So guys, apparently there is some form of collaboration going on here. Am I correct, sir?
I'm the one to answer this question. Yes, there is a form of collaboration, exactly. It's more than collaboration. It's an association, a joint vision about creativity, and let's say joining forces to propose something that doesn't exist on the market. So that's how it's somewhat started. Just sharing ideas and visions about watchmaking.
I'm always interested to know the initial spark of this conversation, of this dialogue between Max and BVLGARI. How did that happen?
Well, Max, maybe you
take it from there. Like all great collaborations, it's a human story. Whatever the beauty and the grandeur of the brand is about human beings. So 4 years ago, Dubai Watch Week, I'm introduced to Fabrizio Bonamassa, and I'm like a fanboy. And so we knock it off on the cafe. If you know Fabrizio, he starts already sketching. He's done like an HM5 BVLGARI thing. And I love that watch, and I'm like blown away.
Right.
And we just stay in contact. Becomes a friend. 2 years later, we're walking from the parking of Kempinski to the Grand Prix de l'Horlogerie. Fabrizio is there, and this gentleman, Antoine, has just taken his function as the managing director of the watches. He gives me his card. I'm like, oh, you're the watch guy now.
Yes.
And while we're walking, I'm saying, why wouldn't we do something together? And the usual...
I have to interrupt.
Yeah.
He doesn't tell you that actually we've known each other from the early years of 2000, from the moment he started Opus.
Ah, okay.
And that starts from Basel Fair. So I was working at the Büsser.
Okay. Ah!
And so we were neighbors.
Right.
And we meet while we are setting the stands. And that's the first encounter. So it starts from, the connection starts from far away. We didn't talk
like in the watch industry, like the wheels, just the cogs just start clicking overnight.
Yes.
And so like most big brands, I would expect would look at me like, who are you? And he said, yeah, let's talk about it. Amazing. Really? Okay. And so 3 weeks later, we're in Dubai Watch Week again.
Right.
And we have breakfast at the BVLGARI Hotel with Fabrizio and Antoine. And I show them our flying tea. And so I created that year the piece for the women in my life, my wife and my daughters. It's a love letter. And I tell them, look, I'm not jeweler. I'm a watch creator. You do this incredible 3D jewelry. Do you think something can be done? And over an Italian coffee, he said, okay. And that's how the story started.
Amazing. Now I gotta turn it over to you, Mr. Babin. Tell me, from your perspective, why does this make you happy to have these form of collaborations with amazing people like Max?
Well, I think first it's new. It's never happened ever in history that two brands would team. To create a common project. And it's very visionary because Max has an incredible creativity and accumulated knowledge and know-how in many fields of watches. He has been a pioneer, in design. BVLGARI on this side has know-how, which is different from his know-how, and I think that putting together those know-how into a common vision, which we're going to discover very soon, is extremely exciting, and it's also something which is doing good to the watch industry. Exactly like Geneva Watch Days are putting together brands in a very friendly way.
Right.
This project shows that a collaboration is not necessarily with a designer to have a fancy watch capsule, but can be between two very serious brands, each owning a certain know-how, which individually cannot evolve so far as if we put it together and to create what we're going to discover in a minute.
Amazing. I'm so excited. Sorry, you go for it.
I want to talk about Jean-Christophe because he will not say it, but this doesn't happen. You talk about the encounter between people.
Right.
But there's a blessing of somebody on top.
Of course.
Which means Jean-Christophe gives us this freedom to create and to innovate and to be entrepreneurial.
Yes.
you don't always have this from a management perspective. So he won't say it,
That's
but I
fantastic.
want to say it myself because
I'm blushing.
yes, exactly. you can't imagine it at the time, but internally it's blushing. But I have to say it because we have the freedom to enter to take initiatives.
Now,
And
you know, I'm
that's
always
great.
excited when new ideas are coming on the table because I think that watchmaking, like any other business, evolves only if you dare entering into new fields. And to me, this idea that Antoine shared with me was so exciting, and obviously I knew myself Max, and very admirative of his style, creativity, boldness, and I thought that if the two groups would work together, surely something interesting would get out of it.
And what's interesting, if I may, is that Jean-Christophe and his team are continuing the Bulgari legacy. I mean, 30 years ago, I still remember I was a rookie, I was 26 years ago, I was a rookie at Diego Court. I drove down to Geneva to go to the Bulgari boutique to discover the scuba. I mean, we are old guys. We remember that. The scuba! I mean, the Bulgari was already groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But then these guys make it into a sports watch 26 years ago.
Right.
With, remember, instead of having a rubber strap, which we below had, which was cool, they did the rubber bracelet with the metal links.
Yes.
And I was looking at this, and I was working at Jaeger, and I had little salary. I shouldn't say that. And I was looking at this thing like this, like month's salary for me. I was like, am I gonna buy that? And I didn't buy it, and I so regret it. And it's the regrets also which make for great stories. Of
course.
And that's why. There you go. 26 years later, I'm sitting at Bulgari, and we created something together. That's incredible.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen.
Let's get into it.
Okay, actually, Fabrizio
Unveil.
So the Flying T, this incredible dome, the flying tourbillon at the center, which is reminiscent of my 8-year-old daughter who still wants to be a ballerina. I don't know how long that's going to last. And the sun at the back, which is the women in my life. The dial at 7 o'clock because it's a gift of time. Fabrizio sees that, and I remember it was a Zoom meeting, unfortunately, because it was lockdown. And while we're talking, he goes, and he comes out with this sketch, and that's it. Actually, it's the initial sketch, which turns out. Now, we call it the Allegra, because it's based on the Allegra, and I'll let Antoine and Jean-Christophe talk about that, where our piece, he said it looks like a planetarium as well. It looks like planets, it looks like actually a spaceship. So he took our Flying T, made it into a spaceship, made me change all the lugs that we had to redo completely the case, and they made these floating, beautiful stones around it, like planets going around. Wow. So this is the baby.
Remember that on the back there is the sun.
And at the back there's the
So
sun.
you've got actually the sun on one side and the planets of the our system, our solar system, that are rotating on the top.
So the lugs have been made into tiny little lugs, so you really have the impression of like a 1950s, 60s spaceship.
Right.
And you've got the stones which are flying around like planets.
That's extraordinary.
And there's the whole orbital part because we've got the sun behind.
Right.
And I think the sun also in Bulgari is also a symbolic that you use. And there we go. The two worlds get together. So voila. A bit of a collaboration. Two very different attitudes, styles, but the same enthusiasm. I've been doing collaborations for 20 years.
Right.
This was totally seamless. Everybody wanted a great product. Everybody wanted the same thing, and it went like.
But there's one thing as well, is the common ground, the common culture.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody working with Fabrizio is easy because he's got such a knowledge about watch manufacturing that he immediately understood what was feasible, what wasn't. And so that's why when quick, of course.
Continue to
I'm just.
Well,
I distracted Antoine.
Exactly, but it's true. I mean, the initial drawing was almost spot on immediately.
Right.
Okay, and because there is this understanding of, again, what's feasible, what isn't, immediate common ground, and that's why it went so smoothly from the very
And when you
beginning.
think of it, I mean, Bulgari has become world famous amongst many things about the thinnest.
Yes.
I create a watch which is 2 centimeters high. That actually speaks to them.
We are back to volume.
This is hurting. This is hurting.
No, but we love that.
It's the anti-finissimo.
But it's
I wouldn't dare say the Grassissimo, but
No, but what I love about it also is that even if I didn't see the, and I love how the branding is so subtle. It's
Yeah.
just small,
Yes.
sort of engraved plaque on the side. But looking at it immediately, you get, of course, the identities of both of the
Yeah.
brands, right? I mean,
Yeah.
immediately,
absolutely.
it's a true fusion and wedding.
Yes, exactly. So guys, there have been, I have 2 incredible collaborations I like. I love, John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman, which I thought created a seminal album. Then later, Jay-Z and Linkin Park. But now, Max Büsser and Bulgari. They've created something really extraordinary. Now, I guess the question, of course, will be, you didn't make just one watch, right?
No, but we didn't make too many.
Can you share with
We're
me?
crafting, so there will be a red gold version and a white gold version.
Yes.
And we're only going to craft 20 of each.
Whoa.
And it's beautiful also fusion in every single way. So 20 will be at Bulgari boutiques and 20 will be at MB&F retail partners.
Amazing.
So it's not one brand for another.
So would you,
It's
I'm
2
sure the
brands
audience would
together.
like a close-up of the watch.
Oh yeah, you need the video as well because the
Yes.
beat of the tourbillon is something.
But the dimension of the watch as well is extraordinary because it feels
It's small.
so elegant,
It's small. It's,
Yes,
it's not a
exactly.
big watch. I mean, for what
Exactly.
it contains, because
Yes.
there's a lot inside,
Yes.
and it's pretty small outside, so it's very elegant.
Flying tourbillon automatic 100-hour power reserve, all that packed in such a small volume is pretty amazing.
But
Extraordinary.
all the work, the finishing,
And I
work,
love the way, I mean,
it's
the-
very, very
Yes.
The way time is discreetly really
Yes.
displayed on the small disc. It's
Yeah.
so subtle.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's sort of like a really sort of intimate and personal relationship with the
Yeah.
time, That's marvelous, guys.
The beauty of this collaboration is again is also the pleasure of working together and the acceptance of the different perspective.
Yes.
And the fact that there's some kind of generosity. Again, I'm paying tribute to Fabrizio. You're a creator, you're a designer. You give a bit of your soul into your creations.
Yes.
Sharing this element with somebody else is a bit of a sacrifice, and he
Right.
does it very, very nicely.
Yes.
And he's interested into this kind of approach, which to me is extremely modern. It
Yes.
requires that you be very self-assured with your own attitude, test, and talents.
I totally agree with that. I think that you really need to be confident in yourself in order to collaborate.
Yeah.
And I know Max has done so many collaborations, and there's always that sort of wonderful moment where you see these 2 visions sort of joining together.
Yeah.
And I would say that in the very best collaborations, you sort of each empowers the other to create something that's singular, that's in some ways greater than the sum of its parts. And that's certainly the case with this watch as well. So, but I love that confidence that Bulgari has, and Max has as well. That you can say, let's do something extraordinary. Right?
But there's a reason if we are together at the Geneva Watch Days in the same kind of
No, but
spirit.
you're right. I mean, it's a matter of respect, of trust,
Right.
of friendship, and those things happen easily when those dimensions are combined.
How's the audience reacting to this?
Everybody loves it.
I suggest you rush to your Bulgari boutique now and put down a deposit. In fact, ask them to let you do full payment, because that way they can, So and then the Max Büsser authorized retailers will just go down there and just slap down all full payment. We want this to be sold out.
Remind us the retail price.
I know the retail price is 60,000 euros, and the same price on broad purchase.
Which is
extremely generous.
competitive. It's really.
What an extraordinary watch.
No, it's a unique watch. Both in terms of design, technology, and obviously spirit. Spirit is something that will stay in history.
It's a first when a great brand has the courage to work with a small creator, and I think you've opened the door.
Yeah.
As many firsts that Bulgari has done,
Yes.
which I think others will probably follow.
No,
I hope
it's-
you're the first.
It was. I'm glad that you're the first. But I think that's what's so marvelous about a brand that's truly confident in it. And also, as Antoine and I were discussing earlier, it has such extraordinary in-house competences, right? So you've got case making, dial making, bracelet making, gem setting, movement making. And so that now you have the capacity, and now of course for Max to add his sort of signature tourbillon here, I mean it's brilliant.
And it's really very much about the way, again, as usual with life, you look at the glass half empty and half full.
Yes.
So you want to protect your asset or you want to learn more.
Right.
Actually, I can tell you that from the discussion we've had and the development we've made, we've actually identified some areas where we can improve in our own developments on some specific initiatives. Absolutely, but
I was mentioning those are some know-how yes, we don't, and vice versa, and pooling them leads to further creativity and new limits for watchmaking.
Exactly.
We love.
In a collaboration, the journey is as important as the product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear how seamless that journey was for you as well. It was just like one meeting and then a car park discussion. It was super cool.
And then it just went on. And,
So now, we spend more and more time in the car park. We're taking someone into
Amazing. That's extraordinary. Well, gentlemen, I have nothing but to say except congratulations, and I love the spirit of collaboration. I think that's what I really get from Geneva Watch Days as well. This sort of incredible community spirit. I think even out there, in the bar last night, when the sun was shining, everyone's on the terrace. It's just the fact that everyone's so happy to be here and can share this joy and this culture that we all love, and really spread it to the rest of the world, which is amazing.